Now, all right, guys, welcome to another episode of Yuri versus Raza. Um, this is actually a special episode because we have a guest and a guest for the first time, and it is none other than Maru. Some of you guys might already know her from Twitter and YouTube. She has her own channel where she makes funny videos on like in the office style on becoming a web developer. She recently landed her first job as a web developer, and relatively speaking, she didn't start so long ago with coding. But without me introducing her, hey Maru, how are you doing? Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is my first time doing something like this. When you asked me, I was like, "Man, I'm not that interesting. Why would people want to like yeah." And it's funny when people say like, "I know you from YouTube." And it's like, I don't consider myself a YouTuber. I honestly just uploaded the videos to like have them all in the same place.
Right,
But thank you. I appreciate you watching them. But yeah, Maru. It's funny when people pronounce it Maru, but it's Maru. It's okay. It's okay. There is no way to pronounce it like in English. I don't think so.
right,
But yeah, I'm from Twitter. I use Twitter a lot. I just landed my first job as a dev. I started learning like last year. I think so. Yeah, last year I started learning. Like I made the commitment to myself last year. I knew that I wanted to be a developer for a long time, but it wasn't until last year that I decided to actually study.
right. In between, yeah, I very much enjoy your videos. I think they're funny. Um,
Th-
but yeah,
Thank you.
that's actually a cool. We spoke about it before a little bit, and that's actually a cool angle to come from because can you maybe a little bit start before like why coding? Because you don't have a coding background, right?
No, I don't. I was always like, I was like good with computers. Like I knew that I wanted to do something related to computers, to technology. I just didn't know what. And but it basically started like, have you ever used Tumblr? Like any of you?
A very long time ago.
Yeah, well,
Oh my god.
I had a Tumblr blog, and basically in Tumblr, to change your theme, you had to change the source code. Like people would give like, okay, this is the theme, and this is the code. Like I had no idea what that was, and you had to copy and paste it in your dashboard. And the first time I saw like, wow, like all this text is doing like the theme. That's so cool. And then I started tweaking. Sorry, I started tweaking some things, and while I watched them change, it was like, wow, that's so cool. It was like my first time trying something like a code pen, because you had like the code editor here and you had like the theme here, and you changed it and you saw it live, and that was so cool. So that was like the first time I saw HTML, CSS, and then my best friend and I, we had a YouTube channel. We used to make like very silly videos, and I was like, wait, I want us to have like a website, like a proper website. And then I discovered like Wix and Blogger, I think it was at that time. So I started like learning about building websites, and I learned that I really enjoyed it. And so yeah, it's that I knew that I wanted to do something along those lines, but I just didn't know what. And because I'm from Latin America, and like I'm sure you can relate too, but like we are also used to like having a very like linear path. Like you go to high school, and then you have to go to college, and you have to choose one of those options like to go to college. And like programming, like it wasn't really an option for me that at that time, so I didn't even consider it, because I was like, I have to go to college and I have to choose a career, so I didn't know how. But basically I ended up landing my first job like after high school at an English institute. And one day my boss randomly said like, hey, have you ever considered programming? And I was like, what? Yeah, I was like, yeah, but I have no idea how to start. And then he said, but hey, there is this really cool website called Freako Camp, where you can learn stuff for free. And that was in 2016. And so he allowed me to go to the I was working part-time, so he allowed me to go to the office where they had a lot of computers, and to go like some hours a day while I wasn't working to study. And he was like, since he was like a programming enthusiast, he was like, if you have any questions, just do it here so you can ask me. And I'm so grateful for that, because that was the first time I got excited to learn something and like to have a structure, and I was like, being able to do it for free was amazing. And so yeah, I studied for a while there, but then I had to move to Chile, and I had to find another job, and I just couldn't keep studying. So it wasn't until last year that we all started working from home that I was like, okay, I want to do this again and do it right. So I started studying in Frico Camp again, and like yeah, like one thing led to another. Like you start Frico Camp, and then you start seeing like all the other things you can learn, and all the other courses. So I started taking other courses and YouTube channels, and then I actually just started Twitter this year, but I've been learning like since last year. But I started Twitter because in March this year, I was feeling very lonely, like studying. I was like, I'm so alone doing this. Like, I want to know more people doing this. I'm sure there has to be more people. And I remember I went to like I Google like what are platforms to find other developers, and the first one was Dev two, Dev.2.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so literally my first post there is beginner looking for a community, and the post is just me saying like, hi, I'm learning how to program, and I want to learn, and I want to know other people that are doing the same. So yeah, I'm here to find a community. And so many people starting like commenting and saying like, hey, welcome, and it's so cool that you're doing that, and ask questions. And I was like, that was such a big moment for me, because like seeing other people and like being interested in my journey was crazy. And they started mentioning like you should use Twitter, and because there's like a big community there. So I reactivated my Twitter account, and I just started seeing like what other people were doing. I was like, whoa, there are a lot of people doing the same. So I just started like interacting with people there, but I was so shy. Like with social media, I used to be like an outsider. Like I wouldn't interact with anyone in any social media. So it was very different for me, like to approach Twitter interacting with people. But I was like, if you want to know other people, you have to interact with them. Like they are not going to approach you. You have to talk to them. You are the new one. So that was interesting, but it really helped me to overcome that fear of also being like it's not being in public, well, sort of like yeah, just being talking like on the internet with other people. And then I wanted to take it to the next level, because I've always been very insecure about my voice, because I know I sound like a cartoon sometimes. And I was like, I've always enjoyed making videos, and I've had some ideas about making videos. So I'm just gonna record one and post it, because I want to overcome that insecurity. And the first time I did, I had a a mental breakdown. I was like so nervous. I almost deleted it twice. It was like my boyfriend actually helped me to not delete the video, because I was so nervous of people seeing it. And but yeah, I'm glad I didn't delete it. But yeah, the first video is not the Office series. It's another video that's there in my Twitter account. But yeah, that's how I started like Twitter, and that's how I got into coding. Like basically it was last year with the whole pandemic, and I know a lot of people can relate. And yeah, ha, did you start the same way like last year? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with your story.
No, that's all right. I
Um,
think Yuri, yeah, go ahead.
actually, yeah, our journey is pretty similar. I started taking it seriously last year, but I actually started HTML on Tumblr too. Years ago, like 2012, I started playing with HTML, and then I didn't think about coding ever until last year. But yeah, I want to say that that's super cool. Yeah.
Thanks. No, it's great. I've seen like a few people online that also have said that, oh yeah, my first time like I saw code was in Tumblr, and I was like, that's so cool because it's like I don't know a lot of people that have done the same,
Mhm.
and but there are people that like I still use Tumblr.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
that's crazy.
it's a secret Tumblr. I'm not gonna say it.
I was surprised on Tumblr. Like there is no censorship on Tumblr.
There no now there is.
Oh really?
There wasn't. Yeah, it
No.
actually like Tumblr's popularity like started to decrease once
Oh,
they
censored it.
banned. Yeah, they censored it.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me, that's a long time ago. But you know what's funny, Maru? Your story, as I was listening, I was laughing a bit because I've heard it before, and that was Yuri. I actually heard
Uh,
so many similarities in, away from social media,
Oh yeah,
on a
yeah.
distance. You know, you how you got inspired. You know, your excitement. I could feel it for programming, and I'm not joking. Or it's just funny. I think this week or a couple of days ago, Yuri even tweeted right that I'm so excited about this, and exactly as you said, Maru. I want to say it right. How do you say your name? I want to say it right. Go ahead.
it's
Maru.
exactly.
Maru.
Yeah, that's the
Maru.
first time someone
Okay.
We Spanish speakers, dude.
Okay.
Hey.
I'm not. I can't do this. But Maru. So Maru, um, actually, Yuri even said the same that she sees courses on Free Code Camp. I think you started there as well. But you please
Yeah.
chime in a bit. But generally speaking, once you get into the world of programming, you see so many cool stuff. Like I can relate so much. I remember the first time I SSH, so I connected to a server somewhere, in the cloud, and I was like, this is magic, this is so cool. And I felt like I think a hacker or something, but it was, it's so exciting to know that there's a whole world to learn out there, and I think that's definitely a similarity we all carry. I will tell a bit in a bit about myself, but yeah, Yuri, what do you think about that? Like, it's so similar.
Yeah, it's super similar. So I got the chills when you said the Tumblr thing, and then I got the chills when you said that you haven't been on social media. I wasn't introvert, but I just didn't like social media because I don't care. I just don't care about people's brunch, people dogs or some shit. I just live life, and I was on social media for like 2 years. But then I would browse Reddit to look at. Are you familiar with Reddit?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I would browse Reddit to look at like to find a community. And I started with Discord, but Discord was like a little bit, toxic, if
Overwhelming.
you will. Yeah, yeah. And then like people started saying like, "Oh, you should join Twitter. You should join Twitter," and that's how it started. Like that was like 2 months ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
It's still
it is
crazy that you
crazy.
guys joined Twitter. So I'll say my age just for reference purposes. Don't hurt me, Yuri. But I'm 30. So when I was
We support you. Yes.
I appreciate Maru. Um so but when I was 22, basically Facebook was the biggest thing, right? No, when I was
Yeah.
17, 18, so that's 13 years ago. That's when Facebook was the Instagram basically. And then when Instagram became big, I was 22, 23. Then because that's when Facebook took over Instagram. That's the time basically I was on social media, but Twitter was also around back then. And kind of um Twitter was the place you only go when you're a celebrity or when you know
Mm.
you want to debate or discuss like certain topics, and that was always for me a scary place and still is, because people attack you so hard sometimes. They can go become it can become such a toxic place that was the primary reason why I would stay away. But at the same time, seeing young people opting for Twitter like you guys are doing at the moment, that's crazy to hear from me. But also cool because let's be honest, like generally speaking, the community is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what? I actually thought Twitter was super toxic. I didn't want to join. I was putting it off for like a whole month. I was like, oh my god, like I don't want to do Twitter. People, because of cancel culture, it's so like strong in Twitter. I was like, I'm not joining. But then I joined, and actually, tech Twitter is really nice.
Yeah.
It's been super welcoming and like, yeah, it's been pretty awesome.
In my case, like I've I've never been familiar, like, you know, there are people like study social media, like they learn how they work so they can make the most of it. So
Right.
I have no idea how social media works. Like I don't know, and it's not something that I honestly want to learn. And but I was like, I knew that there were a lot of trolls online, and that scared me. I was scared to do it in the first place. But like when I first started, I wasn't scared of what other people would think because I didn't know how it worked. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't know that how that amount of people could see my tweets. Like I would honestly just start tweeting, and I was like, today I realized, okay, there are a lot of people that can see your tweets, like random people, like someone
Right.
who you don't even know, someone across the world, and they can see your tweets. So now I'm a bit scary to tweet sometimes because I realize that now. But in the beginning, I had no idea about that. So it's yeah, sometimes it's different for other people because they join Twitter with the full plan of
Right.
building an audience, and like
Right.
they come in with a whole plan to do it, so it's always different.
No,
That's crazy to me.
but I'm gonna be
Oh, go
honest
ahead.
for yeah, I'm gonna be honest. For me, Twitter was the place like to say, okay, if I want to start a personal brand, this is where to do it. Because if I look at, let's say, all the social media platforms right now, yeah, Facebook, not it's more of a family thing. Like, older people, other people posting pictures. Instagram, not my thing. I actually used to draw. I have an account there. It's still there, but because I don't engage anymore, like it's died out. But it has a couple of thousand followers, and I used to draw there. So Instagram is still good if you're doing art and those kind of things. But there are people who post code snippets there, but it's not really a place where you engage because you
Right.
post it and then sure you can engage in the comments, but it's not the same because it's all visually, like your timeline is all visually like pictures and stuff. And Twitter was the only place where I could talk to people. That makes sense. Like it felt for me like a place to talk to people. And that's why I did opt it like very purposely, like very consciously. Okay, if I want to be known for something, if I want to engage with people like minded, I have to opt for Twitter. Like I could not avoid it anymore, so to say.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, okay, we have a few questions for you, Maru. And I'm looking here because the screen is here with the
Yeah, no
outline.
problem.
So, you know, as Raza mentioned earlier, he said that you got your job and that you're new at your job. So I was wondering, like, what do you do exactly?
I work there as a front end developer, and I basically we have an amazing designer, and who is actually the person who contacted me to get the job. And he is also a front-end developer, which is a combination that I absolutely love because I learn a lot from him, like design stuff, but also like actual coding stuff, like how to build it. So, but basically, our workflow right now is that he creates the design and I build them in our current application. So yes, it is a SaaS company. So basically, we just have to worry
Oh,
a lot about the user experience and everything. And we're mainly in the process of um, changing some of the designs in the app. So that's why we are currently trying to introduce Tailwind to the code base because there are a lot of styles sheets that are fighting each other. So it's very difficult to change just one thing. Because but yeah, we are slowly trying to introduce tailwind and other stuff. But yeah, that's what I do. He creates the designs, I build them, we work together if there's some logic involved. But that's my current job.
Yeah, I
Okay.
saw one of your recent tweets where CSS was fighting CSS.
Yeah.
So I felt the frustration. I've not done much with CSS, but um, I'm still, let's just say I'm scared of grid and all those
Ah,
kind of things.
it
So
is
I,
scary.
it probably is. I will not be touching that for a long time. But yeah, but how did you land your job, by the way?
um so okay, basically, okay, I just want to say that I wasn't looking for a job because of course the very
Okay.
typical, I didn't feel like I was ready for like to start looking for a job. So basically, the story is that I had my website and I only had two projects in my website, and I wanted to add a third one. So I was working on that. And as I added the third one, I just tweeted, like, oh, I'm so happy, something like that. I'm so happy that I added another project to my website. I'm so proud of seeing the progress. And I remember that I started receiving a lot of notifications, like people were checking out my website. Bless you.
Thank you.
like I was, people were checking out my website, and I received a lot of notifications. And I added a contact form to the website, and I received one message through there that was like, "Hey, are you open for job opportunities? We are looking for a front end developer who has an eye for design." And that was not my first time receiving a message like that, but they were always anonymous. They didn't have a name, but this one had a name, so that made me feel more, I don't know, secure. And something in me said, like, just reply to this message. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Like, if you say yes, and if it's something like bad, and you just say no. So I just replied, yes, I'm open for job opportunities. And that same day, he sent me like, check out this job offer and see if it's a good fit for you. And I remember seeing it, I was like, I'm not a good fit for this. Like, I don't qualify for this, because it was like a long list, but it wasn't too long. But I remember they specifically like wrote like you should have, I don't know, like 2 years of experience, like professional experience. So yeah, just with that, I wasn't like, I don't have it, but I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm still going to apply because they contacted me and because they saw something that they liked. So I applied, and that same day, the my current boss sent me an email, and he was like, "Hey, we would like to meet you. Are you open for an interview?" And I remember thinking like, "Oh, cool! I had an interview." Like, "Oh my god, I have an interview." Because I started remembering all those stories in Twitter, like when people have interviews and everything they ask you, and I was like, I'm not even ready for an interview. What am I doing? Like, I'm not ready for an interview. I'm not gonna be ready for the job. And I was so stressed. And it was like, it was in 2 days, like before, after that. And I remember I was so stressed because I was like, okay, I've heard that people are asked about data structures and algorithms. And I was like, okay, what if they ask me about that? And I was so stressed. And at one point I was like, okay, just be yourself, just be honest about what you know, and then you don't have to worry about anything. Because if you give them like the wrong expectation, like if you start saying like, oh yeah, I know all of that, then you have to be worried because they will expect you to know that. But if you're open and honest and you say that you don't know, they shouldn't ask you about that, or they shouldn't be surprised that you don't know that.
Yeah.
So the interview was really like, it wasn't anything like super formal. They were very nice, and they just started talking to me like about what they wanted for their front end job. And I remember I said like, look, I want to be open and honest, and I want to say that I do not have any professional experience as a developer. Although I will say that I my previous job experience I think has given me a lot of skills that allow me to be a good developer. And so yeah, I just said that, and to my surprise, they say, "Oh yeah, but we don't care about that." To me, it's even better that you don't have a professional experience because then you can grow here. Like, to be honest, like he said, the only thing I care is that, like he said, I don't care what you've done before. I only care that what you want to do now aligns with what we want to do. And I was like, yeah, I want to do it. I want to learn. I want to, like, I don't know. I was just so excited about the job, and it just sounded so cool. And then, and with as we started talking about more technical stuff, about my technical skills, they asked me if I had experience with any JavaScript framework. And I was like, little background, I was terrified of any framework, of anything that wasn't vanilla JavaScript or CSS. Like, I was terrified. But at that point, I knew I had to learn one to for a job because they use frameworks. And so I told them that I didn't have, like, at that specific moment, I didn't know any JavaScript framework, but I was focused on learning the fundamentals because I wanted to have like a good base of knowledge to be able to use any framework required by the job. So I didn't want to be married to just one framework because then if I need another one to do the job, then I would be stuck. And I was also scared when I said that, but he said then they said like, "Oh no, that's the best thing you could have done because you have to know the fundamentals to learn any other framework. So it's great that you did that." And so yeah, that was the interview, and I was like, I remember saying like, "Oh, it was such a great experience. I had such a great first experience with my interview, and I was so proud of that, but I wasn't expecting a job offer. I really wasn't." So the next day I got the job offer, and I was just shocked. Like, what? How is that? Like, when I thought about like the whole thing, is like someone over the internet saw my website, maybe through a tweet. They saw my website, they liked it, they sent me an email, I applied, I met with them like for 30, 45 minutes, and then they offered me a job, like a remote job. Like, how? What is this? And I was so worried because, like, I've never said this before, but I was so worried because, you in Twitter you can compare yourself a lot to other people, and that when you see other people's stories, like what they've gone through to get their first job, like
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, why is it being different with me? Like, how? Why? I was like, I don't deserve it. Like, honestly, that's what that was my first thought. And that was like, I didn't say it like for a very long time. Like, when I mentioned it in Twitter, like I even mentioned it in a video, that was like 3 weeks after I had accepted the job offer. But because I was so scared of what other people would say, like, "Oh, you just got your first job and you just started learning coding last year." And but yeah, I went through a process of learning, like, okay, I worked for this. Like, okay, I wasn't looking for this at this point, but I worked for this. And I know we hear more about those crazy stories, but my story is also valid and it also happens. Like, I started doing some research about what other people have gone through, like a similar story to mine, about the landing their first job, and it does happen. It's not as common as the other stories, like going through maybe a 4 month interview process, like maybe 1 year looking for a job. Um, but it can happen, like like it happened to me. I know it's not very common, but it can happen. And my advice to people would be like, keep an open mind. Like, just because it happened, like just because other people had a hard time, which is very common, and it's awful that it works like that. Like, that is the most common case. But just keep an open mind, because you don't know that if your opportunity will come in for the form of a very vague email, like, "Are you open for job opportunities?" and just saying yes and see what happens. So just keep an open mind, because you never know how your first opportunity will be. Like it could be at a very long interview process, but it could also be like maybe in Twitter someone tweets you like, hey, let's just meet and I can see some potential in you and let's see what happens. So it could also be that way. So yeah, that was my story about landing my first job.
Yuri, stop breathing into the mic with your nose when someone's talking.
I'm
So when you
sorry.
go like this, we can hear you breathe.
Oh, I put myself on mute. I
No, you
tried.
didn't. Maru was telling her story, man. But all right, Maru, let me respond because I think by textbook, you did all the right things. You did all the right things. So your story is 100% valid, and there's far more lessons than you just shared with us, and that awesome advice that you gave, because you focus on yourself. You learned. You're genuinely excited. You didn't have any expectations. You basically shared your journey, and that's what caught people's attention. Like honestly speaking, the reason why I like your videos, like no special effects, then whatever, but it's just so genuine, it's so real. So I think people can feel that. And actually, you know what? That's a good manager and that's a good boss that you got right there, because I'm an IT manager. When I hire, the single most thing that I look is the behavior of a person. So who is that person that's sitting in front of me? And their mindset, their mentality. And does that align with the mentality I have in the team? Because let's say I have someone there who is in a victim behavior, shows victim behavior, or is very pushy, or is very desperate. You have to understand that's not necessarily the type of person I want in my team. I've got a good team right now. People who help each other, open. They they call it in Dutch literally the elbow culture. There's I want to go front, I want to go in front. They call it in Dutch the elbow culture, and I prevent people who have an elbow mentality to come inside the team. So I think when I hear your story, I think it's valid for multiple reasons. That first of all, as far as I can hear, you chose for a job that has a good environment for you, because it's not necessarily only the offer you got. And also it's valid because, and it's for anyone hearing out there, 100% is possible. Social media, Twitter, it's real now. If you focus on yourself, you create valuable content, valuable thoughts that you share, things like this will happen. It will. Sooner or later, but it will. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think it's pretty awesome.
Thank you. And I will add to that things can happen, but you have to say yes to those things. Like because you also are receiving a lot of DMs of people, and of course you have to like be very picky of what you say yes to, but you do have to like say yes and to like experience other things that you haven't or like you were very scared to do before. Like for example, I was scared of going like being in social media, of like recording myself or hearing my voice. So I was scared of all of those things. And but the main reason I was doing them, it was for me. It was because I wanted to overcome those things, and I knew those things would make me a better person, and it would like make me the person I want to be. Like I don't want to be a person that is insecure about her voice and like doesn't agree to some experiences, like I don't know, like being on a podcast, because I enjoy those things. Like maybe Maru of like I don't know 6 months ago wouldn't have agreed to this because I was scared of people hearing my voice or even seeing my face. So I'm really glad that I did all of those things because it helped me land a job, but it also helped me to be the person that I am today. And I think I got the job because of who I am today. Not only because of my technical skills or all of that, but because I, like you said, like I can show that I don't know if they notice that, but like I like to think that they notice that I'm a good person. Like I'm excited for the job. Like I can follow instructions and all that. So I think I was able to do it because I overcame. Is that in correct English? I overcame
Overcame, I think.
Yeah.
overcame those fears.
By the way, for the record, your voice doesn't sound like cartoon. You said cartoon, like it
Mm.
doesn't sound like that at all. It's crazy to hear that you said that, but it doesn't sound like that at all.
You
Sounds very normal.
you will have to hear me like I've trained myself, because if I'm just speaking like normal, like if I'm speaking to my friends and like I'm not thinking a lot about what I'm saying, I do sound like a cartoon.
Okay, look, for the record, when I get excited, my voice goes high pitch as well. So it's I don't know, like I can talk like this as well. There's no problem. But
Exactly.
it's sometimes when I'm serious, or like if I go into a boardroom, obviously you calm yourself down. I hit that bass because they sound more serious. But I get what you're saying. But then you know what? You can probably put me in a category of, I don't know, exciting men who sound like women as well. So like I get excited when I get excited, but my voice goes high. But
Yeah,
anyway,
no, it's not just something that I used to think of myself. It's something that like it was something an insecurity that I developed because of other people's comments. Like I didn't grow up thinking like, oh, I sound like a cartoon because I was a kid. But people would tell me that, like everyone.
that sucks.
Yeah,
That sucks.
it does.
I'm
Hold
just
on.
look.
Okay,
Go on.
let me backtrack a little bit. I wanted to talk about what you said when people hired you. You said that they hired you maybe because of your technical skills, but also because you were a good person. And actually, I think that's a very valid point you made, because I don't have job experience, but I think, if I was a hiring person, I think I would hire somebody that is willing to learn, um, fits, the culture, is a good person, rather than somebody who knows a lot of technical skills but doesn't know how to fit in, in the team, doesn't know how to work with other people. Because I feel like technical skills can be taught. You don't have to know that. You can learn that on the job, and it doesn't take too long if you know the basics. But being a good person, working with a team, working with other people, knowing how to communicate, that's, a life skill that can't really be taught. You have to fucking learn that. You have to go through it. So I feel like your manager or your boss, they actually might have seen, yeah, that you have potential to learn and that you're a good person. Actually, I think that you did really good by being honest and telling them that, you know I don't know this framework, I don't know about this and that, but I'm willing to learn. I think that was pretty cool that you did that. Yeah.
Thank you. I just noticed it sounded so weird that I say I'm a good person,
No.
like without the confidence in the world. Like, yeah, I'm a good
Yeah,
person.
I'm such a good person. You know what? Don't worry. Yuri does it all the time, and no one believes her. But no, no, no. But that's the wrong comment. Everyone believes you, Maru. Don't worry. No, but um, look, yeah, Yuri summarizes pretty well. Again, if I'm hiring, it's those things that I'm looking for. I'm thinking of a quote, but don't quote me on it. I think that Bill Gates once said, "I can teach a monkey how to code, but I cannot teach a monkey how to behave." Behavior is so important, how you carry yourself, and because even when I'm talking to you right now, Maru, I would hire you. Come on, you seem like a fun person. It's like someone, like I would never hire Yuri, but you seem like a person I would put
No.
in my team anytime. Like if I hire Yuri, I feel like I have to do one-on-ones with every team member. Look, it's just how she is. No, 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 no. But I think they found a gem. But and again, backtracking maybe a little bit, is that how is it so far? You spoke about it a little bit, like, but how is it so far? Like working remote. I think you work remote.
It's
Is the
been great, but it was definitely like I had to adapt because I like my previous jobs, they were like very, traditional jobs. You go to an office, you work from like a schedule, and here it's like we are all in different parts of the world. Like we are all in different time zones. There are only like 3 hours a day where like we're all in like awake. and available. So that was so weird to me because I came from like like my previous job. I was so used to my boss like being like on top of everyone. Like he had to know like what are you doing? What are you doing? So the like my the previous day, like I had sorry, I can't speak English. Like before I started like my first day, that night I started having so many weird dreams. Like I was dreaming like my new boss telling me like, because I was like in his time zone, he's already working. And I started dreaming like, oh, like he was saying to me like, why are you not working? We are all already here, and why are you not working? And I would wake up. I didn't sleep anything that night because I was so worried because I kept having dreams of my new coworkers saying like, but we're all working, where are you? And I was like, but I'm just so behind because of the time zone, I'm sorry. But yeah, that was definitely something that I had to adapt. But now that I understand it, it's like it's easy because now I understand that that's the way they work. And it's also so great to be in an environment where everyone just knows that you have to do your job. It's not like we don't have to be like there like every minute of the day to know what you're doing. We're just everyone is an adult, we're all responsibles, and we all have to do our thing. So that is just great because then I have time to focus on the things that I have to do. I'm not worried about, okay, but what does my boss think of what I'm doing, or all those things. And seriously, everyone on the team is so nice. It's seriously so nice. They like the first thing they say is like, don't be afraid to ask any questions. Like, don't think they're stupid, don't think you're going to sound dumb, just ask questions. And I was like, okay, if I if I ever if I'm ever going to ask questions, this is the moment because they know like this is like a first time experience for me. So they know that I will have questions. So like this is the moment. So I try to ask a lot of questions. Like I still hold myself back on a lot of things. Like, we're all afraid to sound dumb, but yeah, it's been great. Like I enjoy the job. I really like the team. I really like the like working remotely. It's been such a cool experience because I was working remotely, but only because of the pandemic. And it was like a hybrid situation. I would go to the office some days, but I really enjoy it. I think it really fits my personality too. Like working remotely, I can adapt to it as well. I do sometimes need some human interaction, like we all do, but I really enjoy working remotely. And they have been working remotely since forever. It's not just because of the pandemic. So they are
Oh,
really good
wow.
with that. They are really good with that, like knowing that there has to be like a work life balance, because when you're working from home, you can feel like you're always working. So I really like that too.
Yeah, you know what?
That's interesting.
No, it sounds super cool because I'm just wondering whether it's the tech industry that makes, working in a team so much fun, or is it something else? And the reason why I'm saying is, so my background is that I'm an accountant.
Mm,
I'm only been in the IT industry for about 2 years. Before that, I was in part of different communities, everything except IT. I see such a big difference. Like my team members, like, so I have roughly about 90 people, about 11 teams. Maru, oh yeah, you froze on my side. Okay, you're still there. But they have like fun outings, and they like, have PlayStation moments, and they're different people. Like some people don't like games, but they're really, how do I call it? They're really like, it seems more fun. It seems more, you know what, I want to wear a t-shirt to work, so I'm gonna wear this t-shirt. Like sometimes they come with t-shirts, and I'm like, dude, if I go to my previous job in that t-shirt, I think I'll get fired. So it's so much more relaxed. But that's my experience. And when I'm hearing you talk, Maru, it's like, it seems that most people who transition into tech have that experience. And I'm saying most people because I know toxic environments in tech as well. Like we all know what happens in the gaming industry. That is so bad. That is so bad. Um But generally speaking, what you're saying, it just triggered me that I feel like the tech community, honestly, like on an average, is so much more a fun place to be than any other community.
Yeah, I came like at my what you said about clothes also made me remember other thing is that um I've always been the youngest at my previous jobs. So because of my voice and because of my face, even if I wear makeup, I look young. So at my other jobs, I felt like people didn't take me seriously because I was so young and because of how I looked and etc. So I worked so hard that I wanted people to take me seriously. So I like comments about my voice, comments about my appearance, they will all make me feel bad. So because I wanted to be taken seriously, I don't want it like my age or my background to be like a factor of like people saying like assuming things about me. And so that really like I hated that, I really hated that. So it got eventually better over the years, but like here at this current job, one thing that I love is that they only asked me where I was based because to know about my time zone because they
Right.
had to know about that. But they didn't even ask me about my age. They didn't ask me uh, any of that. And it's not because they don't care, but it's just because that's not a factor to hire. That was not a factor to hire me. And I really appreciated that because I've seen other really bad stories of other people like they don't go through the same experience, but I think that that's horrible when you're hiring someone and you first ask, okay, but where are you from and how old are you, and they start assuming things about the person only based on that. So I really don't like that. So it was so cool that they only care about who I was now. Like, okay, I see you, I see that you have potential. So that really made me feel better.
Yeah, I
You
can
know
imagine.
what? I can actually relate to that because so I got like a job offer um which I accepted, but I was reluctant because I thought they were going to ask me my high school diploma, my grades, my everything, my date of birth, my passport, everything. And I don't want to show that. I'm not a public person. I don't like talking about any of that. So I was like how am I going to get a job? I don't like sharing any of that. But you know what? That person didn't ask me anything. Nothing about my school, nothing about my age. They just asked me, as you said, where do you live? Because we got to know where you're based at. But that was super cool, actually. Super, super, super cool. Yeah.
I think that's like a is it do people say, because I know we say when something is a red flag, can we say that's a green flag?
Yeah,
Is that a thing?
I go for yes. That's a green
Let's
flag.
start it. That's a green flag
That's a green
because
flag.
yeah. Because you will get like people get a lot of can get a lot of job offers, but you have to make the decision. Like you have to also meet the people and say like, okay, this is a good fit for me, or if it's not, you have to like, okay, I like this vibe or I don't like it. And I would say that's definitely a green flag when they just want to know about you, about the person you are, not about
Right.
like not a lot all of those things about your background or yeah.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree. I can imagine that's annoying, especially because you know there might be hidden insecurities, or you don't want to recreate the assumption, that
Mhm.
you're a school young woman, or you're a, I don't know, you just look young, so you probably are young. Those kind of things, I can very much relate to that. And actually, again, Maru, I think that you're in pretty cool space and environment because that's probably the right environment to be in, to work in. Like those are indeed green flags. You want to be in that environment, because the other way around, it's just a red flag. It's just that I start asking those kind of things, I get everyone needs a job, but there are some things that are more important than money. You don't look at your paycheck every day, actually. Even look at it at some point. You don't look at it every month anymore. But you're gonna hate your life. And I've been in that situation where if you were a toxic manager in a toxic team, like there were days I didn't want to get out of bed. So that's something you want to prevent. But yeah, that's pretty cool that you're in a cool job and the experience is good. I think that's important.
Fire for that, basically.
Yeah. And just a quick question, because I like what you said about, you know, um showcase your work. So what did you use? Did you use like GitHub or
I built my portfolio. I built my website. Yes, that's a very good point. I created my website really early. Like that was also another thing that I was like, should I create my website when I have like, I don't know, five projects, or once the projects are like built with frameworks and all that stuff to actually show something more professional. But I created it really early because I was like, I just want to show my process since the very beginning. Like now my projects, they are just vanilla JavaScript, HTML, CSS, plain stuff. But eventually I want to make them better, and I want to also showcase that I started from here because I'm learning on my own and they will improve. So yeah, I built my website and I put my projects there, and I also use GitHub to host them.
right?
Yeah, that's how I did it.
So yeah, so one question before I move to you, I see you wants to ask as well. Is that, but don't you feel like you had to share like multiple things? Like maybe someone has to share their Twitter account, and then they also have to share like your hash node, and then maybe you have to share your blog, your website, and GitHub. You know, wouldn't it be easier if you would have one place to showcase it all?
Yeah, like you mean like having a website, like where you show all the work?
Yeah, or a platform that gathers everything. Like what I'm trying to say is I feel like right now what's missing is that you have one stop. Like let's say I'm a hiring manager, you just give them like one link, and then that's just the platform. You go, and if you're there, you can see someone's GitHub, you can see someone's Twitter, you can see someone's hash node. It's all there. So I only have to go there to find out. Like, yeah, you get me, Yuri?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think
Um,
that's better.
I think that okay, so I wanted to backtrack a little bit, and that's fine with you, Raza, right?
Yeah,
Like we're good on time. Okay. Um, so essentially, what you're saying is building an online presence kind of helped you with your job hiring process and all of that, because you started making a website and eventually posting on Twitter and then GitHub, and let it be known. And so I was wondering, I don't know, I'm just impressed how it wasn't a traditional way. I thought you got hired the more traditional way by putting resumes, and like I heard people that go through 1,000 resumes, like they just send out resumes everywhere. So I'm really impressed that actually you started by building an online presence. um yeah, so I was wondering, this is a personal question for me because I'm on Twitter and I started blogging on Hashnode. I started joining Showcase, a platform. So I was wondering, do you think it's a good idea to use outside platforms as well? Get into technical writing or sharing, showcasing your work, as you said.
I do think so. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not really good at writing blogs, because I think I'm a terrible writer. I would love to do that, but I think that anything you do to showcase that you are learning and that you are putting so much work and effort into your tech career, basically it's good. I think anything that shows online that you're studying, you're building projects, and you're spending so much of your day on that is great. And I would add to that like Rasa said, like put them in a place where when people are going to see you, when they go to your profile or to your website, that it's all there. Like they don't have to guess your, I don't know, your username in different platforms, but they just go there and they have everything, so they can see everything that Yuri is up to.
Yeah.
And I wanted to add to, like, because I, when people say like building my online presence, it sounds so formal. And I wanted to say that another advice I would give is that just use Twitter. Like if you're just having fun with it like I am, just go for it. And mainly because you have no idea who's watching. Like in my case, they found me not because my coworker uses Twitter daily. He doesn't. It was just a coincidence that he was on Twitter and he found my tweet and he checked out my website. So basically, just sharing your things and your tweets and your work, because you don't know who's watching and who will eventually, maybe they open their Twitter account and they saw your tweet and they liked you and they want to meet you. So yes, basically that, just you don't know who's watching, so showcase your work. um Anything that you're doing, like you said, writing blog posts, technical writing, anything that you're doing, because that also shows that you know something. Because when, for example, if you write a tutorial for something, that is the best proof that they have that you know how to do something.
Yeah.
You didn't just watch a tutorial online, just build this exact same website, but you actually wrote your own tutorial. So I think that's great.
You know what you remind me of? Every time you say showcase, you remind me of the showcase platform.
Yeah, that's why I was
And
laughing as well.
yeah, I
Is
was
that
laughing as well. It's
is
oh
that
my god.
a,
Oh,
people
go
don't
ahead.
use that word?
No, they do,
No, no,
but
it's an
it's
actual
also
platform.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
a
know that.
platform where you could this is for you and like for everyone who's listening. It's a platform where it's basically what Raza described, everything combined. You could share
Mm,
your blog post, you could showcase your work and share your GitHub. It's basically everything combined to one. And you can also, you know, that's essentially like the whole point of it. Like you show people your showcase profile and it just showcases everything. So what you said about showcasing, that really reminded me of that platform.
oh, cool. I didn't know about
Yeah.
it.
yeah. I will drop a link to you, then you can check it out because it's basically what we were talking about indeed. Like you plug basically everything in. It's a one-stop shop, and then yeah, potentially for an employer you can actually give it, and then someone can go and check it. But with that, we've come to an end because honestly, Maru, you've given us so much of your time. I don't want to keep you any longer. You should go out and enjoy your Saturday. Yuri's Saturday's over. Mine is almost over, but yours about to start. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for joining. You're our first guest, and I couldn't think of a better guest. I really, really appreciate it. I'm glad we did it. I got to know you a little bit better. Pretty much going to be more fun interacting, and I'm looking forward to new YouTube videos. When is the next episode dropping?
I don't know. I don't know because you know when you make something that it's good and you think I'm never gonna have any other good ideas.
Yeah,
I'm at that stage. I'm like I'm never gonna have any other good ideas. Like that's it. That's what you get from me. So maybe one day, like if I get an idea, I will do one. But for now, I'm at that stage. Like I just want to be focused on my new job and
yeah.
learn and coding. I'm really focusing in coding, but maybe eventually I will have another idea. And I hope so. Then I will.
My tip to you is because you got those funny comments every left and then left and right. Write them down. Like even if you think about it, write them down because I swear, probably if you mash it all together, you will come at a new episode. But I wish you good luck. You're probably gonna do just fine. Hearing how you're passionate about programming, and yeah, I'm just really glad that we connected. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to an end of this episode. We hope to see you next time at Yuri vs. Raza. We won't do a guest every time, but when we get interesting people, we will definitely invite them on. All right, guys, have a good one.